best gear of the year. We've got it. We've got tons of friends, opinions, influencers, synthfluencers, artists, just random people on the internet that we asked. And you know what? Let's hear what they had to say.
Howdy doody, my name is Cameron, better known as Venus Theory, and also apparently known as the production Ned Flanders, according to last time I was on one of these, so perhaps a big hi diddly ho is in order as well. I got a lot of really cool stuff this year, things from Create Audio, I got the Arturia Polybrute, I got a Waldorf Iridium, and a bunch of other goodies strewn about the room here. But oddly enough, I think one of my favorite pieces of gear is not something that's actually new. It's something that I think is close to 5 years old at this point. While I'm not a fully DAW-less creator, I do really enjoy a hybrid workflow. There's something about using physical instruments and gear that just puts me in the right headspace to start creating stuff, and I feel like the one thing I was really missing was a drum machine. After doing some research, I came up with a pretty basic list of requirements of what I was really looking for. I wanted something that had enough sound design features to be interesting and versatile, I wanted something I could load my own samples onto, I wanted something with multiple outputs, and most importantly of all, I really wanted something focused on performance and not sitting there endlessly tweaking, because I've got plenty of other stuff I can sit here and do that with. Eventually, I landed on this, the Roland TR-8S. The TR-8S features 11 tracks that you can load whatever you want onto. If I want to load up 11 kick drums, there's really nothing stopping me from doing that. There are quite a few different drum synthesis models available on it, and it was even recently updated to add some new ones. And of course, loading your own samples onto this takes it to a whole other dimension of what it's capable of doing. It's got a lot of very tactile hands-on control, but it's a great compromise between just enough control to dial things in, while not being too deep where you sit there stuck on that one box. It's something that's just designed to be played. With that, at the risk of angering my Polybrute, aka Big Bertha, I guess I award the TR-8S as my pick of the year. It's not really about the biggest, fanciest piece of gear. Sometimes it's just about the thing that makes you want to make music.
Hi everyone, my name is Miles Kundra. I'm an electronic music producer based in Cologne, Germany, and my piece of gear of 2022 has been the Moog Mother-32. What I like about this synth is that it's actually very portable, so you can move it around in the studio very freely and also pack it up for a gig or to go to another friend's studio. But the other cool thing is that it's really straightforward. So you have a single oscillator, a filter, an LFO, and an amp ADS, and that's it. What's cool about it is that you can actually repatch the whole synth using this patch bay here on the side. This actually gives you, or this simple setup of the synthesizer, a lot of more flexibility in terms of how to use it and how to create very unique sounds on this machine. In my personal case, I really like the flexibility of the synth in terms of how it connects with other gear. I use it in my DAW-less setup consisting of the Elektron Digitakt and Digitone and the hologram microcosm, which works very well. But I also wanted to have a synthesizer that works with a hybrid setup using Ableton Live with all my synthesizers, and actually the Moog Mother-32 ticks all the boxes here. In my DAW-less setup, I'm sequencing the Mother-32 via the Elektron Digitakt, sending MIDI notes to the Mother-32, but the audio is routed into the inputs of the Digitone. This way I can use the Digitone's internal effects like chorus, delay and reverb on the Mother-32 signal, and experimenting around with that is a ton of fun. For me, it's really great fun to experiment around with the different parameter settings on the Digitone and see how the Mother-32 and the Digitone's effects interact with each other and how I can make use of that in my music. And exactly in this way I used the Mother-32 in my song Home, where I just experimented around a little bit with the different parameters, used also not only the Digitone's effects but also the hologram microcosm on the Mother-32 signal, and then started to build around a house techno track with elements also coming from the Digitakt and the Digitone, and yeah, I was very pleased with the end result. Much love for this synthesizer, which I'll definitely explore further in my future projects and in my music. And also big thanks to Perfect Circuit for having me here on this video. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope to see you again very soon, and I'm wishing you all a great start in 2023.
What's going on, everybody? So my favorite piece of gear for 2022, I've told everyone about it, and I'm sure it's not a surprise to a lot of people, but it's the Polyend Play. So the Polyend Play is let's just call it a colored square groove box, but it's a lot more. And for me, it's whatever you want it to be to you, it can be. While it doesn't have all of the, say, functionality that some people might be looking in a more professional type groove box, it's got everything that somebody who wants to just have fun or be creative needs. And honestly, I'm the type of person who, if it's hard or if it's something where it's going to take a ton of work, for the most part, I'm just going to put it down. So when I bought the Polyend Play, it was really a no-brainer. It's actually more my style. So yeah, the Polyend Play, I mean, look how cool and colorful it is. I really don't know what else to say. It's just super fun. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'll see y'all next year.
Hey, I'm Emily from Get Offset, and if you know who I am, you are probably wondering why I'm in a synth video, and that's fair, but the answer is to compliment your eyebrows. They look lovely on fleek. Don't change a thing. But other than complimenting your eyebrows, I'm here to talk about my favorite piece of gear in 2022, and that's the Roland JX-08 from their Boutique Synthesizer series. I was talking to my friends at Perfect Circuit saying, you know, I want to get into synths, but I have no idea where to start. I'm a guitarist and it's just there's so many options. And they recommended this to me, and I'm so glad that they did. It was way easier to get a hang of than I expected, and it's completely rocked my world. So let me go ahead and get this set up and talk about it some more. So here are a few things I really like about the JX-08, mainly that it has 64 patches. And I know that shouldn't be like the biggest selling point for a synth, but for someone who's new to them like me, to be able to like kind of go through a bunch of different sounds and find something you like and then be able to tweak it, that's a great way to learn what all of these things do. The digitally controlled oscillators, the waveforms, the high-pass filters. Some of those terms exist in the guitar world for me as well. Most of them don't really, or at least don't translate perfectly. So to be able to find a sound and maybe tweak it, you can also choose between a bunch of different kinds of effects. You can also edit those effects. So you can tune it to your taste, which that's huge for me. And it's easy to change the octaves, even though the keyboard is small. So it can do a lot more than you would suspect from its small size. And I can't thank Perfect Circuit enough for turning me onto it. But I wanted to just kind of make a little song with the JX-08 and my Elektron model cycles. So let's do that. I have kind of an intense little drum pattern going here. So let's get something less intense going on the JX-08. I'm going to do a lead part first. I think that sounds pretty good. It's not the most like exciting, inventive thing in the world, I'm sure, but I enjoyed it. Let's find something that could be a good bass patch. I like that one with a softer touch, so I'm going to go with it. Let's try it. Wish me luck. All right, I had fun with that one, so I'm going to hear how it sounds. I'm sure it wasn't perfect, but it never is when you're just drafting stuff, right? All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. And the JX-08 as a whole, I love it. I didn't think that I could find a synth that was so accessible to me as a guitarist, and I'm really happy that I have. It felt easy to be able to start incorporating these sounds into my recordings in a way I hadn't been able to previously. So thanks again to Perfect Circuit. If you are looking for a cool little boutique synth, or maybe even your first synth, I can't recommend the JX-08 enough. Thank you.
Hi, this is a midlife synthesist. Thank you for tuning in today, and big thanks to Perfect Circuit for inviting me to pick my favorite device of 2022. This year has been a particularly good year for me, and I really feel privileged that I got to play around with some of my dream synths and groove boxes like the Sequential Pro 3, the M8, and the SP404. I was really having a hard time picking just one when I realized that there is a device that I got this year that has been in almost every single jam that I've made, and that is the Chase Bliss Habit. It's an experimental delay with 6 of my favorite modifiers from the blooper pedal and what Chase Bliss call a wandering memory, which means it will record up to 3 minutes of what you're playing and start randomly glitching out and playing back these little bits and loops from the past. And it makes for a very organic way of experimenting, and it's almost like playing a duet with the pedal. It has made a deep impact in my music, and it's easily one of my favorite pedals to date. Thanks again for sticking around, and I wish you great music and great gear in 2023. See you around.
Hey everybody, my friends at Perfect Circuit asked me if I would think a little bit about what was my favorite piece of gear of 2022, and if you spent any time watching my YouTube channel Circo, you would probably guess that it's this little guy right here, the Elektron Syntakt. This machine is a great jack of all trades. It's great for somebody who's new to Elektron or to somebody who's been using these boxes for years and is already familiar with the workflow because you just jump right into this and you start making music. It's got some really powerful synth engines in it which sound great and are super flexible and can be used for a ton of different things. It makes a great drum machine. It also makes a great synthesizer, and it makes a great groove box. You can do a little bit of everything with it. I love it because it acts kind of as a jack of all trades. If I need drums, I can use it for drums. If I need a synth voice or 2 or 3, if I need to control 10 different pieces of hardware, I can switch these channels over really easily to become MIDI channels. So it does a whole ton of things. But at the heart of it all, it's a sequencer, and Elektron is a sequencer company at the heart of everything. And they have sequencers that use samples, they have sequencers that use synths, they have sequencers that use combinations of both of those. But at the end of the day, what they really specialize in is sequencers, and this machine takes advantage of all of that great sequencing power that they've developed over all the years with all of their different machines, and it packs it into one great box, including being able to sequence an effects track, sequence external MIDI hardware, and sequence analog and digital synths within the machine itself. One thing I really love about the Syntakt, as well as all of the other Elektron sequencers, is all the ways that you can play around with and use probabilities and really lock in any parameter basically throughout the whole machine by step. And so what's cool about that is that you can take a track like this, for example, where I have one percussion sound spread across all 16 steps of this little pattern here, but I made each one of them have only a 12% probability of hitting. So each time different ones will hit, or sometimes none of them will hit. And then on top of that, I added an LFO with a little bit of a random wave that's linked to the tuning of that sound. So now not only will it hit at random times, but it will be kind of randomly bouncing around, which is pretty cool as an individual thing to kind of add some ear candy to your song. So if we go back to here and we just listen to what that sounds like by itself. if you remember, there's a step on there's a note on every single step here, a trigger on every single step, but only some of them are hitting each individual time. Now, it sounds kind of random when you do it like this, but if you start to add in things like, you know, a kick and bass and then maybe a cymbal. And then maybe something like a clap to kind of keep the time and keep it going, you know, in something standard while everything else is being random. So for me, my favorite piece of gear of 2022 was the Elektron Syntakt. Thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you over on my channel, Circo. And thanks again, and thanks to Perfect Circuit.